Today's episode contains a content warning. We are going to be talking about death and euthanasia. So if that is a sensitive or sore topic for you, feel free to skip to the next episode. I'm Jen.
And I'm Jen.
And this is Talk Dogs with Us.
Today's episode, Approaching the Rainbow Bridge.
It's for owners, vet staff, trainers, groomers, shelter workers, dog walkers, basically anybody who interacts with dogs and unfortunately knows that their short lives will come to an end.
Thinking about how to think about it.
Euthanasia is a compassionate gift we can give to our pets at the end to alleviate their suffering. Just as a reminder for this episode, grief is a rich, thick set of emotions. It's not just sadness. It's not just overwhelm. It's a lot of things. And so sometimes you might laugh. Sometimes you might cry. Sometimes you might get into that place of overwhelm. All of those are completely normal reactions to grief. Let's talk a little bit about some quality of life measures that you can do for your pets when they may be approaching their senior phase or when they're battling an illness or whatever it is that you're up against. So there's a bunch of different quality of life scales. We pulled one from Lap of Love that does they do at-home euthanasias and at-home hospice care as well. And it sort of has a checklist where you go through the worksheet, and I can post a link in the show notes. You're going to go through the worksheet and you're going to fill it out, and it's going to give you feedback about where the quality of life is.
It kind of grades it for you.
Yeah, it's sort of like you just put the information in and it kind of like feeds back to you. It like reflects back to you kind of what you're seeing.
The goal is to have some sort of objective measure against your subjective perspective with your own dog. Or you wouldn't really take it for a client's dog. You really need the client to be involved in this.
Yeah, but it's a resource that you could provide.
Absolutely.
Years ago, friends of mine that were fostering hospice dogs they made a workbook that was something that you could take every day, every couple of days, once a week, and then you could look back at what you had scored the previous day so you could get a better kind of handle on whether you were, seeing a trend to the positive or a trend to the negative. It was a little bit more of an objective tool. If that still exists, I will put a link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember to have a plan, to schedule it, to draw your lines in the sand, because if you are not involved in planning this stage of your pet's life out, then chances are it's going to end up being an emergency or unexpected, which then can lead to trauma.
Yeah.
So that's not to say that you won't avoid an end-of-life emergency at any life stage of your dog, but when we know that we are senior or geriatric, we know that we're coming to the end of the lifespan of the dog, we can start to think about what we want that to look like and the things which we might consider not worth living through.
Yeah. And I think you can get feedback from your vet professionals about like the health status of your dog and like what a decline might look like and where your lines in the sand might be. I know for us, when our senior dog was dealing with canine cognitive decline, we were trying different medications and they were working for a little bit and then they were losing efficacy as parts of his brain shut down. And so my personal line in the sand was, I will try one more med, and when that med fails, I'm out.
Yeah. And it kind of helps to have that professional there to help keep you accountable so that you're not continuously moving goalposts.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with moving goalposts once you have reassessed and kind of decided that things aren't okay, but you want to make sure that you're not continuously moving goalposts to the point that you're then not having the choices that you want at the end.
Yeah.
And you're not having the situation that you want at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not easy to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people are very uncomfortable with the topic of death.
Yeah. I like to say a lot of people need to get right with death because dying is a part of living. And if we didn't die, we couldn't live, which might be hard to understand, but I do believe that. And so we need to make sure that for our pets, we aren't just avoiding the topic and allowing suffering.
Yeah.
That we can do something about.
Yeah.
I think that it's also important to realize and understand that dying naturally is not usually pretty.
Yeah.
Dogs and companion animals don't typically just fall asleep and never wake up again.
Yeah.
They are usually suffering from some kind of organ dysfunction, whether it's respiratory, cardiac, or other. And the symptoms that occur from that typically are suffering.
Yeah.
Now, some beliefs and some religious beliefs don't believe in euthanasia. So, it's not up to us, the professionals, to tell owners what to do with their own pets. But there are situations that you can still do to help those situations. For instance, I worked with a doctor who we were on emergency. There was a dog that came in. I think he had some kind of respiratory disease. And the owners kept saying that their religion didn't allow them to euthanize. And so, but this doctor could tell that the owners had compassion. They didn't want their pet to suffer, and it was hurting them to see their pet suffer. And so the doctor said, what if he was my dog and not your dog? Would you then be comfortable being present and knowing that this is happening? And they said, yeah, if he wasn't our dog, we would want his suffering to end. So this doctor said, okay, will you trade me your dog for this watch? And the owners, because whatever it was in their religion and in their grief, they were like, yes, let's do it. We euthanized the dog, and the doctor bought his watch back for like $1 from them afterwards, so that because he did like the watch. It wasn't like sentimental to him or anything, but he did want it. And so that was a way that he found to help support the owners all the way through to the end.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of that situation because we can help owners in ways that they don't even know that we can help them if we are just thinking creatively of how we can let go of judgment and support them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like making clients aware of what's available to them, like a lot of people don't know that Lap of Love exists and home euthanasias exist.
Yeah.
And
Lap of Love is a national service.
Yes. It's not just local to us. It's a lot of places.
In the United States.
And at our facility, at least, we sometimes allow euthanasia to take place outside because it's scenic.
Yep.
And that can be a good place to say goodbye. And owners may not know that that's an option. And so putting those out there, can really help somebody's decision get easier. Mm-hmm. Because they might be putting off a euthanasia because they know that their dog is scared of the vet.
Yeah.
And they don't want that to be their final moment. Well, we can work around that. We can euthanize this dog at home. We can euthanize them
in the backyard.
But we've done euthanasias on the farm before to not have those dogs spend their last moments in a hospital room.
Yeah. And I think bringing it up well before it becomes something that is necessary, helps the owners kind of come to grips with it and cope with it early, and gives them a place to put their grief.
Yeah. And I
their
think
anticipated grief.
if you're making decisions when not in crisis too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also important to make clients aware of the aftercare options well beforehand, because in many places, cremation is not cheap.
Yeah.
We're coming to a point where private cremation is cost prohibitive for a lot of owners, but a lot of them would prefer that option. So bringing it up early allows for them to be able to plan financially for those aftercare options, for the keepsake options. If you wanted to, let's say, taxidermy your pet.
So, fun fact, when my dog passed away, he was a bull terrier, and I texted the vet that was going to do his euthanasia. We knew he was going to pass. And when I texted her and I said, is there any way I can save his skull? Because bull terriers have those unique faces. And I expected her to be like, no, that's crazy. What are you talking about? And she said, yeah, hang on a second. A friend of mine has a name. I can get it for you. And so I have my dog's skull as his keepsake. Yeah. I mean, I also have paw prints from him. But I literally have him taxidermied, right? And so like that can be an option that people may want that's a little out there, but I have it.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
You wouldn't rather have something else.
No, absolutely not. No. But like knowing that they can get little vials of fur, they can get paw prints, they can get nose prints. I think we've done ear prints too on dogs that had really cute ears.
Yep. Ear prints on dogs, cats, rabbits.
Yeah.
Tail prints on exotic species with tails that are scaly. Feather prints for birds, and footprints. I do think I have definitely made a couple goat hoof prints. I haven't done ink goat prints. I'm not sure. I'm sure you could figure it out. It would just take a little practice.
Yeah.
You can, instead of doing ink, you can do, I always suggest the bingo dabbers.
Yeah.
As like little paint pens, basically.
Yeah.
And then you can use acrylic paint, any color, on construction paper. It looks great.
There was a euthanasia we were part of recently where, speaking of like practice with the goat hooves, where the tech was practicing with the paw print to make sure that the paw prints that the people got were the best ones that she could deliver. And so she didn't just like hurry up, ink the paw, and away we go. She took a couple impressions until she was satisfied that they were getting a good quality keepsake, because that's the last memory of their pet.
Yeah. I have a paw print from one of my heart dogs that it was done by the crematorium, and they put a glaze over it. It's like a clay paw print, and the impression isn't very deep. There's no detail in it. It just doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time looking at it.
Yeah.
Because it's not very good.
Yeah.
I think don't be afraid to practice different things related to paw prints, especially with clay, which you can just roll up and do again.
Yeah.
We have seen a lot of people using the foam prints, and I really hate those. Some people do like them. I guess they're cheaper, but in my experience, they're not as good.
I feel like they rot.
Yeah, they rot away, and so they don't seem long-term.
Yeah.
I one time did do a nose print / mouth print of a dog with a ball in his mouth.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That was really cool.
Yeah, because that was his thing.
Yeah, he loved the ball.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of things that vet staff can do to help make it as least traumatizing as possible, even if it is an emergency or unexpected situation. I always suggest keeping the hallways quiet as possible.
Yeah.
If you can designate a specific room for euthanasias, that's ideal. People like to say that the owners will become traumatized by the room, and so then they might not want to go to that room again. And having a designated room helps you because this is a room they can attach their trauma to that they won't be visiting with their other pets.
Right.
Unless they're in the same situation.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that you move them from a regular room to the euthanasia room, even if that's difficult for you. But this could be a space where if they walk in saying, we're here to euthanize, this is a low lit room.
Yeah.
Usually it has real couches, but very washable couches, a rug that's washable, some paintings or
usually there's
things
comforting
on the walls.
Art. Music.
You might have music and white noise out the door. And then in my hospital, we will turn the lights off in the hallway. Some places will play music. Keep in mind that if you're playing music outside the room, everyone else in that hallway has to talk a little louder to hear each other. And so we found music to be less conducive. We still play it, but we played at a low volume. Some places will light a candle at the front that tells everyone else to be quiet. I think setting up the scenario so that it's as comforting as possible, making sure there's tissues available is obviously something that you can easily overlook, just so that it's more comforting to them and the rush of the hospital doesn't become another layer to their trauma.
Right. We also have a euthanasia kit with palatable treats.
Yeah.
And Hershey's Kisses.
Yeah.
So dogs can get a little bit of chocolate before they say goodbye.
Yeah. People love to give them chocolate.
Oh, There was a dog one time that had to be euthanized at the shelter because he was very sick, and someone just happened to have a chocolate cake with them. I really don't know how that happened, but we fed him a whole chocolate cake.
He loved it, I'm sure.
He had a great day.
Yeah. One time I went into a euthanasia to talk to the owners about what was going to happen, and they were feeding the dog paper towels. And they said that paper towels were her favorite thing to eat. And I was like, you know what? It's her day.
Yeah.
Let her have it.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are afraid to show emotion when they're the pet professional.
Yeah.
But I think that can also make us seem cold.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to shed a few tears, but also providing words of wisdom can make all the difference in showing your support to them. Don't be in there sobbing. Yeah. Don't decenter the owners, but with your grief. But showing emotion is not bad or unprofessional. I think as long as you are keeping it to a professional level of emotion that you're showing.
Yeah.
I do have specific verbiage that I like to use when I'm helping an owner kind of through this transition. I always like to compliment the dog in how well cared for they were or how loved they were. That seems to help owners a lot. I like to tell them that there are no words that can take away the pain, but then I say something about, seeking professional help if they feel like they need it.
Yeah, this is where the veterinary social worker comes in clutch.
Absolutely.
Because she's there as a support.
And she can take a lot of that emotional baggage off of you. That's their job. I say she because ours is a she, but yours might be any gender. So, yeah. I like to tell them if they thank me that it was an honor to be part of their journey. I feel like that goes a long way for a lot of people. Validating their feelings, whatever they are. If they say that they're angry, they're sad, they're resentful, if they're relieved, sometimes I will tell people that if they have a geriatric dog that we are euthanizing, I will say it's normal to feel some relief. And that doesn't mean that you didn't love them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of owners struggle with that feeling. And then if they're not, they'll just be like, I'm not feeling that. And then that's fine.
And I feel like that goes back to the grief being a rich tapestry of many emotions woven
Absolutely.
into one, where you can be devastated and relieved at the same time.
Yeah. I suggest sedating patients before euthanasia just because it ensures that the owners are with them while they fall asleep, if that's the owner's wishes, and it makes it so that that's their last poke. They don't have to know about us finding a vein or placing a catheter or whatever. But in the times when owners would prefer not to sedate, when I'm in there placing a catheter, in an effort to make the tech that's placing feel more comfortable, I will usually distract the owner by asking them funny stories or puppyhood stories. Like I'll say like, oh, did you get them when they were a puppy? And then I'll ask if they were a naughty puppy or if they were good, or, I just pull stories out of them if possible. And all of that to say that if the owner can't be there for whatever reason, they choose not to, they physically can't be there, anything like that, I feel like that judgment needs to stay inside of you and be shared only with your close coworkers, so that you can process it, because you don't know their life and you don't know how seeing the death of this pet will impact that owner, and that's honestly not your business.
It's not your business.
So that's something you have to let go.
And it doesn't do you any good to dwell on the stories about what a bad person they are.
It also, when you decide that, you are inevitably making yourself also the bad guy, because why is it so bad that you were there and they weren't? Mm-hmm. The dog didn't know you, but that doesn't mean that you're any less of a person. And so it can also turn into some negative self-talk, which no one ever needs.
Yeah.
I think it's important for every person walking into that room, or at least like if a group of you are walking in, only one needs to explain it, but someone needs to over-explain the process several times, what's going to happen from start to finish, and then while it's happening. So I'm in here placing a catheter. This is just so that the doctor can have easy IV access. If you see me pushing something, that is just saline flush. There's no medication in that whatsoever. And then also warning owners about the potential things that can happen at the end of a euthanasia. So thinking about those agonal breaths that dogs can take sometimes, twitching that can happen. There might be, their eyes are going to be open. If they are having a disease where it's expected, let them know that they might have fluid come out of their orifices. They might defecate or urinate, and that's all completely normal. Nothing means they're fighting it. Mm-hmm. That can help owners also.
Yeah.
Because explaining it after the fact has much less of an impact.
Yeah, they've already seen it and they've already told themselves a story in their head.
Absolutely.
Instead of knowing that, like, hey, these things can happen.
And it can be normal.
It's all normal. It doesn't, I think that point you brought up with like, it doesn't mean your pet is fighting it is really important.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people get so freaked out and
they feel like they're playing God.
Yeah. And they feel like they're making the wrong decision. And then, if their pet is twitching, they're like, oh, they're trying to fight it and I'm killing them.
Yeah. So, and I think it's important to, if you have a rough euthanasia, to debrief, or if the owners were extra emotional, or it's a patient that you know really well, or a traumatic euthanasia, debriefing with your team will help you process that and not hold on to that grief and avoid it, which will then create a bit of a cesspool inside of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think getting it out and,
You don't want to go septic.
Nope. And, if professional help is good enough for the owner, it's good enough for you too.
Absolutely. I think that rounds out most of the things about euthanasia. I mean, it's certainly a topic that we could go on and on and on about, but I don't know that you're here to listen to us ramble forever.
Yeah. So what are our top tips?
Tip tops. I think if you're a pet parent, you need to have a plan. Start building your support system and have someone to keep you accountable, whether that is a friend, a vet professional, a trainer, another animal professional, or just your partner at home. Being able to decide ahead of time what kind of experience you want to have will help that happen.
And I think if you're the pet professional, you can support the client in, any way that you can offer them. You can offer your professional wisdom and your guidance through the process and through the logistics, because a lot of people just aren't familiar with the logistics and they can feel overwhelming until someone is like, hey, I'm going to help you through this and we're going to talk about it. We had one come up recently where the woman asked for a quote and then in the same email felt awful that she was asking about how much it was going to cost.
Yeah.
And I had to be like, no, that's really rational of you. Obviously you need to plan for this. Here's your options that you can do. And then we offer these things that are complimentary, like the paw prints and stuff. So having that information in advance was really good for her. She just felt shame about asking it. So reassuring them that this is all part of a complex process. It's going to be difficult and you may feel some emotions that feel out of place, but they're all part of grief.
I think also getting creative with the ways that you support owners, whether it be through keepsakes or we had owners that were coming to happy visits regularly. And once their pet passed away, we did a couple happy visits with just them, obviously without their pet, so that they could help ease the transition and process their grief. So there's lots of different ways.
I will say for our work, if a client that we know loses their dog, we invite them to come to puppy socials.
Yeah.
And sit with fresh new puppies for a little bit if that's something they would like to do to help the grieving process.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a sad topic, but just as we're saying, you need to talk about it and have a plan. We have to destigmatize it and we need to make it just as a part of life as preparing for adolescence or seniority.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's an inevitable part of loving something with a short lifespan.
Absolutely. I think grief is love. And so without love, we wouldn't have grief.
Right. Right. If you didn't love that
without
pet,
grief, we wouldn't
grieving.
have love. So they're really one and the same.
Yeah.
Do you have any grief quotes you want to share?
Oddly enough, in the research for this episode, I found a Jim Carrey one. Grief is not just an emotion. It's an unraveling, a space where something once lived but is now gone. It carves through you, leaving a hollow ache where loved ones resided. In the beginning, it feels unbearable, like a wound that will never close. But over time, the raw edges begin to mend. And that's from Jim Carrey.
Yeah, pretty great.
The Ace Ventura guy.
Yeah.
Coming out with some bangers. So that's been our talk about death and euthanasia at the end of our dog life cycle. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. And have a good night.
Good morning.
Talk Dogs With Us is an informational podcast and not a substitute for qualified medical advice.
Are you a pet professional or parent looking to learn more and challenge your current assumption about our pets? Then let's go on this journey together at our website, talkdogswithus.com. Give us a bark at Facebook and Instagram at Talk Dogs With Us. You can help keep the conversation going by subscribing to our Patreon, patreon.com/talkdogswithus, or buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/talkdogswithus. Art direction by Alex Oren, theme song and audio engineering by Stephen Rossblock. Check out more from him at stephenrossblock.com. Thanks for listening.